Hey, friends. I am thinking about something that shows up for me every so often. You know, so we're reading a book. We're rereading a book. It seems now constantly in some phase of reading this book. It's a book called The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and it's a book that I picked out for Annalise back at like Christmas time. It was a Newbery Award winner. Sounded like just the synopsis was like sounded like a cool story. I was like, okay, let's try this out. And it's a beautiful book. It's incredibly well written. It's youth fiction and fantasy and witches and dragons and swamp monsters, but really smart and really you get the sense that there's a just a wonderful literary mind behind it. Kelly Barnhill is the author. And in this book, without giving too much away, in case you would ever read it yourself, there is a character called by a couple of different names, but one of the names that she's called is the Sorrow Eater, the person who eats sorrow. And it's a very well kind of elegantly constructed narrative about how this how this kind of arch villain has done the thing that the villain does to make other people subordinate and to be able to continue to eat sorrow. But the other reason that I find it so ingenious is that it taps into something that feels very real to human beings in general. You don't have to be a supernatural supervillain in order to understand what a sorrow eater is, because a sorrow eater is just somebody who feels good when other people feel bad. And that's something that I notice in myself every once in a while, and it troubles me. In other words, I'll observe myself, I'll observe somebody going through difficulty or having experienced a loss. And there's part of me that sort of is like happy, but not happy is the wrong word, but it's like it's like my status goes up in my own eyes. And it's obviously one of the like least flattering feelings you could have about yourself to witness that. It's like yuck. That's not who I want to be. And there's you. I mean, I'm literally like telling the internet this, so it feels kind of like uncomfortable to reveal, but I think the reason I'm revealing it is because it like as I said yesterday on my post, when I say these things out loud, oftentimes it stops being a circular sort of like loop in my head, and I can actually make progress. Even just the backboard of knowing other human beings are going to hear this takes me to a different level of understanding. And one of the questions that comes up is, well, why would you ever feel good when someone else feels bad? Why would that happen? What is the issue? And it's like, clearly there's something missing in my life. There's something I'm missing. Because if I were fully satisfied, there would be no reason to ever feel that way. So that's one question. Like, what am I missing? What is it? How am I not being nourished such that witnessing someone else's pain somehow alleviates my own suffering? I don't think that I'd like to think that it's as benevolent or benign as I can relate to someone who's experiencing pain, because I am experiencing it somehow on some level, right? That would be a more, not necessarily flattering, but a more generous interpretation of the feeling. I'm inclined to be a little more rigorous with myself and say that could also happen to me, but that would feel different. That would feel like I was understood, and there would actually be an empathy for the other person that takes no pleasure at all in their pain. It would be a sense of like, ooh, I know that feeling. That hurts. I would almost like feel the pain in myself that they're feeling because I know it so well. But this is different. This is like either my status or my self-image or some undernourished aspect of me gets a boost when I see someone else come down a peg. And again, I'm saying this out loud because I sense that by being aware of this and by not, because it's the kind of thing that, like, when I experience it in my mind, when it happens, I generally very quickly go, look away, pretend that didn't happen, just ignore. And that just confirms that whatever the underlying issue it's something that I am reluctant to face. But furthermore, by saying it out loud and by bringing it out into the open, I think, not only can I keep looking at it, and if and when it happens again, I can be present with it. But back to my sort of question from a few minutes ago, I'm wondering what I'm missing. What is missing in my life? What am I lacking that gives me the feeling what am I lacking that somehow feels like I'm less lacking when I encounter someone who either is getting taken down a peg or is experiencing loss, or I don't know what, it's hard to think of examples of this. It's just a phenomenon I've noticed. So in a way, I think it brings me right back to some deep self-image stuff and some deep kind of purpose stuff. Like, how fully am I manifesting what I'm really here to do? To what degree does that really feel like I'm playing life full out? And to what degree am I not? In what ways am I not? Because I'm guessing that if I can change that, if I can bring myself fully into attunement, alignment, I even had the experience of being so deeply aligned and so fully engaged in life that I never take pleasure in someone else's sorrow or someone else's pain. I know that state well of being just fully generous and fully alive. So I think, again, if this is like a confessional, or if this is my like letting this ugly thing out, that's the purpose that's the intention I'm formulating with regard to why and with regard to what to do next, kind of how to go forward next, and hopefully get to the bottom of this, figure out what am I missing. I've got a beautiful life. If I were to list things I'm grateful for, it would be an endless list. But that's different than having clarity of purpose and knowing this is what I'm here to do and this is how I'm doing it. So that's my confession of a sorrow eater who doesn't want to be a sorrow eater anymore. But you should read Girl Who Drank the Moon, even if you don't have a 5-year-old to 12-year-old daughter. It's still a pretty great book. Anyway, that's where I'm at today, folks. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. I will see you soon.